877-888-9476 with your question. Get seen on TV or YouTube and heard on our podcast, FM, and internet radio. Sponsor your local radio station with Lone Star Community Radio.
Thank you for listening to Lone Star Community Radio. This program was broadcasted and recorded live from the LSCR studios in downtown Conroe, Texas. Lone Star Community Radio is supported by listeners like you. Donate and sponsor today. For more information on getting involved with Lone Star Community Radio, contact us at lscrstudios@gmail.com or visit us online at www.irlonestar.com.
Good morning. Okay, I'm going to get this right. Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you for listening to the Cindy Cochran Show. Live. We are live. Yes, we are. And this afternoon, it's 2 o'clock. Listen, we've got a great show, and it's only because we've got this great sponsor, Chris Wootton, who will be here tomorrow and live, in the flesh. He'll be here with all his knowledge and brains and stuff. That'll be so much fun. But anyway, I want to thank him for being the sponsor, and he is re-upped, and he's decided to be the sponsor again. So it wasn't so bad. As many times as I mess up that opening, he's still with us. Anyway, but we do have with us a very, very special guest, Don Wilson. Don Wilson is going to be the guest today. And to kind of say, this is how I met Don. He was only like 17 years old. It was in like 1973 or something. No, 77. It had to be that because I was pregnant with my son, Chad, and he came by the newsroom while I was interpreting the news for the deaf at that time. He came by the newsroom and he wanted to get a picture with me. He really enjoyed watching me sign. And I mean, now he's admitted he had a crush on me. But anyway, I said, well, sure, I'll take a picture with you. And we took this picture. It is the one where I'm standing in front of the door at Channel 13. And there he is, only at 17 years old. And so he's going to be our guest. And he is my Elvis Presley connection because Elvis Presley took him kind of under his wing when all his family was killed in a terrible train crash. And so I'm
showing the picture to them.
This right now is the picture of me pregnant with Chad, and there's Don. And Don was so sweet. He got a picture with everybody, even Marvin Zindler. He had a picture with him, and he said, "I look like I'm afraid of Marvin." This picture of the next picture is who is going to be. We're going to have different interviews during the week of August of people that I interviewed last year during August to celebrate Elvis Presley's anniversary of. He's going so fast. This is one of. I was getting ready to say this
with
is.
you because she came in running.
I did. Elvis, if you're on 45, bless your heart, I feel so sorry for you because there was a fire on the side and there was the fire engines and they were trying to put it out and it was it was chaotic. Anyway, this picture is Dawn and Tish Hensley. She was the private nurse for Elvis Presley all the way up until his death, and so wait till you hear her interview. She's so down to earth, and I'll tell you what kind of thing, and she's going to tell you everything about it. It's great. And then we're going to have an interview with Bill Morris. Bill Morris was the one who he actually arrested the person who assassinated Martin Luther King. And do you see that picture? That picture? No, that's not me. that's him. And he came on, and he was like best friends with Elvis because his wife went to school with Elvis, and he had that notoriety. And plus, he was the mayor of Memphis, and he was just incredibly attached to Elvis. He loved him, thought he was great. So he has a lot of good stories. And then there's one of Elvis's last girlfriends, Mindy Miller, and she is just gorgeous. And she is the interview I have with her is pretty interesting. It's very different. And so we'll have her on. And we're going to give you plenty of notice when these interviews come up. We'll let you know when they're going to happen. Of course, they'll always be on, the that YouTube thing. YouTube has all of our videos. So does Lone Star Community Radio. You can go there and see a lot of these as well. So anyway, it's going to be a lot of fun. And we're going to call Don right after we take this break. And we're going to get him on the phone, and he's going to start just regurgitating all of these great stories he has about his years with Elvis. Okay, thank you very much for being with us. And don't go away. We're going to be right back.
Every week, people ask the same two questions. Are they ready to retire? Will their savings last for their lifetimes? Hi, this is Chris Wootton with Wootton Financial Group. Our firm has been in Montgomery County for decades, but the hopes and dreams of the people we serve never change. We help answer these two questions and many more that people have about their uncertain financial future. We have a simple introductory client experience that allows us to get to know the client and includes a few meetings for the client to kick the tires at no charge. We provide a concise, one-page summary that helps the client get a better handle on which questions are the right questions for them. To learn more about Wootton Financial Group's process in helping their clients to a clearer financial future and to see their contact information, visit Cindy Cochran Show page on irlonestar.com/TCCS. Wootton Financial Group is a proud sponsor of the Cindy Cochran Show. Wootton Financial Group is available by phone at 936-449-5952 or visit them on the web at www.woottonfinancial.com. That's www.woottonfinancial.com.
This program is sponsored by the Wootton Financial Group. It is not the intent of Wootton Financial Group to render or offer personalized investment advice or financial planning advice through this radio program or any related website. Wootton Financial Group's participation in this program is limited to providing general information on financial matters and should not be construed as financial recommendation or investment advice. Investment advisory services are offered through Game Plan Advisors, Inc., a registered investment advisor registered with the Securities and Exchange Commission and the state of Texas. Insurance services are offered through Wootton Financial Group, Inc. Game Plan Advisors and Wootton Financial Group, Inc. are affiliated through common ownership, and neither firm is affiliated with The Cindy Cochran Show. No listener should assume that any information presented and or made available on this program serves as the receipt of or a substitute for personalized individual advice from Game Plan Advisors, Wootton Financial Group, or any of their representatives.
Okay, we're back on the Cindy Cochran Show, and we've got Don Wilson in the bullpen. And I just love when he finished that disclaimer. So you can listen to everything else I say and believe it and trust it, but maybe not specifically about finance, especially finance. But he will be here tomorrow, and he will give you all the lowdown on it. I can't wait. It's going to be so much fun. I've even invited today, and you know this is hard for me to do, I invited Richard to actually interject any questions he might have for Don Wilson. You know, I've been looking at all these Channel 13 pictures that you sent me, Don, and, there we go. You know, I just kind of miss it.
Why don't you ask if he's there?
He's there. Isn't he there?
I'm here, gorgeous. How are you doing?
I love it. See, you know, Richard never says hello, gorgeous. He doesn't say that to me at all. But it's okay. You are, and I knew you were going to be there. You watch probably more than Dennis O'Connor. Maybe not. But anyway, Dennis goes back and listens to all of them, and he even binges on them. And so, you know, you are a loyal fan, though, because I would.
Yeah, I can binge on you.
You know. Okay.
I do want to say I saw Richard yesterday, and because I watched it on my big screen, I have it hooked up to YouTube.
Yeah.
And I'm watching you right now, but you know, Richard looked kind of like a rocking Presario yesterday. You know.
A rocking Presario. I think don't give him any kind of feedback like that. You know, he's got a big enough head. His earphones barely fit over his head. But But I'm going to let him, if he wants to ask you a question or wants to comment or anything like that, that he can. Don and I only met in person that one time when he was like, what were you, 15 or 17 or something?
I was 16.
16, okay. And so that was it. But we've been like fast friends, and, you know, from then on, I talk to him while I'm shopping at Kroger.
Like a current age pen pal.
A what?
A current age pen pal.
Yes, he is. That's it.
Yeah, I know. I'm trying to help you out, Cindy.
Thank you.
They're
Thank you,
more like
Richard.
a cell pal now, you know.
That's true. That's so true. But you have been there always, and I'll call him and I say, okay, just talk me off the ledge on this one. I'm, you know, because we agree totally politically, so it's real fun to talk to him off the air, because I don't get into politics at all, do I, Richard?
No.
Okay. See, so
you just regurgitate.
Yeah, not on the air.
You just regurgitate politics.
see, I just love that word. When I first heard somebody say that, he just came up and just regurgitated all
See,
this
I know
stuff.
you have Rush Limbaugh on cassette tape in the car still, and we're still talking about Ronald Reagan or something.
Yes, yeah. Yeah, now see, now you've given it all away. Everybody knows where I am, where I stand. No, I have at times probably slipped out what I believe and what I think. But before, that was before the day that we were on community radio, and we got to be sweet to everybody. And I always invited anybody that disagreed with my opinion. They could come on the show and let's talk it out and then hug it out, you know. So, but Don is just right there, right down the line with me, and we're going to try not to be any politicalization today. It's only about all of your memories of those years that you were there with Elvis, and then with all of his cohorts, and just all the people that just, it's kind of like the pebble dropping in the water, and it just kept spreading out all of the different people you've met, and you've had influence over you.
Well, yeah, you know, you actually said something similar to what Elvis told me, because he said, your life is like a river or a pond, you know, and you throw a pebble in it and you make ripples.
Right.
So
right.
That's so ironic, you know, that you said that.
Well, tell them, I hate to bring this up again for the 50th time, but tell them, when you showed that picture of me and you in front of the door there at Channel 13, and what was his comment again?
Well, he said, she's good looking, man.
He thought we were dating, but no.
You didn't do that, did you? You know, he didn't say that.
Oh, good. I couldn't tell if I was pregnant or not. But yes, it had to be 77 that we took that picture then, because that's the only.
I was always showing Elvis something, you know.
Yeah. You're great. You take so many pictures of everybody, and who you're with, and it's just been amazing. You'd say, "Oh, you may want to use these, Cindy," and you would send me all these pictures of people. But you would send me great interviews with people, and it was great. You know, I couldn't believe you had Max Baer. You said, "I can get you Max Baer." Now, a lot of you may not remember who that is, but if you ever watched Beverly Hillbillies, he was the
Jethro
son.
Bodine.
Jethro Bodine, that's right. And so it was so much fun to talk to you, because you did have so many memories, and it made me stop saying, yeah, but I was on Johnny Carson. No, but I think that
Yes, you were.
yeah, but you have just
Twice, right?
Yes. Oh, yeah. Make that twice. Yeah. It's still the joke with my friends. They'll say, "So you met who? What? How long was it before you had to tell them that you were on Johnny Carson?" And I said, "It just came up. I didn't mean for it to come up. It just happened to come up that that's what I did." But nowadays it's funny, because it's getting to where a lot of people I talk to are too young. They don't even remember Johnny Carson. Isn't that right, Richard?
What? I was wondering who you're talking to, because I definitely remember Johnny Carson.
No, that's why I like to talk to you, because I'm still much older than you are, but you at least have memories, and you had like your grandma that you were with for a long time, and I'm sure she had some influence on seeing black and white movies and all that stuff on you, right?
Oh yeah, and well, see what it was is, for the longest time I was homebound because I was kind of a sickly kid, and I would call up for tickets for my grandmother and I. And we'd come down to Channel 13, go to Dialing for Dollars. So one of the first people I ever met was the lead singer, John, I can't remember his name, from Steppenwolf, because he was there on Dialing for Dollars, and he was lip singing, thinking Born to Be Wild.
Oh, man. I missed that one. Okay.
But anyway, Chill Wills was there, and Slim Pickens. I met them there. I mean, I met a lot of celebrities there. And so a lot of memories there.
Well, Chill Wills, that's funny because I remember I came out into the studio and I brought coffee or something to somebody. And I stood there and just looked at him and just remembered the movies I've seen him in. And it was so surreal when a lot of the celebrities would come by, because at that time there were only like 3 channels in Houston, was 2, 11, and 13. And but 13 got most of the celebrities in the talk show that they had in the morning. And it was so much fun. I mean, anybody that was coming through and they had a show in Houston would have to stop by Channel 13. So it was great.
It was, because it was unlike any other. I mean, it was just a melting pot.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and it was funny because those people, I don't know what they were used to, but when they'd come through and we'd try and put them in a green room, and it was, Channel 13 was great. It was really, I think it was kind of new at that time, but when those people would come by with their big old limos and their bodyguards and stuff like that, and they'd come in, and it was like, you didn't need to take all that to hear. But it was, but we treated them right, and they had a good time. So, but I thought, oh boy, I've got somebody I can trade stories with that met different people. But
well, yeah, and Bob Hilton, Paul Schmidt, and Betty Rogers, and then Don Nelson later.
Yeah, see, you remember all of that. That's great. I forgot Bob's last name. I remember I was trying to see if he had a Facebook or anything, or if he was still alive, and but I couldn't remember his last name. So it was Bob Hilton, yes. And then when Marvin came on, it really changed the dynamic of Channel 13, because everybody was so, they loved the fact that Marvin would go out and help all the people, and he was a champion for the people. And so it was strange at that time. He and I started at the same time, so I couldn't remember when you came on and you got everybody's autograph. You said, I got everybody to sign this, and when I saw my name, I thought, that's so weird. I mean, how many times were you there that you came in?
Oh, quite a few times. I came to the newsroom a couple of times. That was the first time I came in. The first time I came in '73. Larry Connors was there.
Yes.
But that was the first time I met you in '73, and then that picture was taken, of course, a few years later. But
right.
Yeah, I didn't always bring a camera, so.
I think that's wonderful. Well, the outstanding people that you've known and been connected to were people that were really good, real close to Elvis. It was, like Glenn Campbell and Johnny Cash and those guys. And a lot of listeners that we have, I'm sure, are the age that remember all those people. And you have stories with Glenn Campbell, and was it before he started doing that concert tour with his daughter that you met him?
I first met Glenn when he played the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo back. I was about 11 years old, so it was a long time ago. And then my grandfather knew his brother-in-law, and that's how I first met Glenn. And then fast forward about 20 years later, I contacted his manager, Stan Snyder, and mentioned that and said I'd like to get Glenn to do an interview, and that's how I became reacquainted with Glenn. And he was great from then on. I had his number, call him, talk to him off and on.
And then he went and did the concert, and I think that was like his last time to go do a concert? Was that tour with his daughter?
That was Ashley that did the last concert, but in the 1994, 1995 tours, that was Debbie Campbell, his first daughter.
Okay.
And but yeah, Glenn. I mean, I was at Glenn's house, and he would tell jokes left and right, and sometimes the lamest, but it was always funny, and he'd always crack up at his own things. Like, he would say, "Well, I'm a kleptomaniac." Or say, "No, sorry, no." I say, "Oh yeah, I knew a kleptomaniac. Maniac. You know what she took for it?" And it's everything.
See, he was like the dad jokes that he had that he would tell. I'm sure around the kitchen table, and that's the picture you have that you sent me. That you're sitting there talking to him. I think you're interviewing him, and he was sitting. Y'all were sitting at a kitchen table.
Yeah, and I remember that right after that, he was eating something. I can't remember what it was, and we were talking, and he licked the plate. And Debbie said, "Dad," he said, "What's this on?"
Well, that really showed that they took you in. But Johnny Cash and his wife and their family also took you in. You were able to get in and be around the family a lot.
Yeah, being around Johnny Cash was like being around a historical figure like Abraham Lincoln or something, And then, but he'd put you at ease, though. But you never knew where John was coming from because he had a very off-the-wall sense of humor. I remember that when I did a tribute song to him, I did 2 songs while he was still alive, and I sent him a copy of it, and I got him on the phone. I think it was Sister Reba who got me to talk to him, and I said, well, John, what'd you think of the songs? He said, "Don, I don't know you well enough to miss you if I kill you."
Good grief. That would scare me. So what does that mean? Did you like it?
Well, in other words, Well, I could drop my voice, an octave, and I could sound more like him,
Right. Yeah.
And,
no, you did.
So he knew that I could do that, but he pretty much didn't like anybody that tried to sound like him because he wanted everybody to be an individualist.
Ah.
But that's pretty much where it came from. But he said, "Yeah, I like it," and he said, "I like that bass player." And it was Russell Scott, and he said, "I wish I had him on one of my new records."
Oh my God. That's funny. So what'd you think of my singing? I like that bass player. That was really good. No,
Yeah.
but you did when you covered his songs. I got the CD of it, and I couldn't believe it. And I went, "That's Don." You did. You could drive your voice. You sounded so much like Elvis. I thought, is this because he hung around Elvis so long that he has that same kind of draw and that kind of talking? It was amazing. So, but have you seen what they've done on America's Got Talent? They had this guy come out, and we thought it was this guy coming out to do the song, and it was Elvis, and they had projected onto his face. I don't know, how that happens, but it was like the beginning of what AI could probably do if they needed to. But it was him singing, and the judges and Simon and everybody were just like jaw dropped. They couldn't believe it. Have you ever seen that clip?
Yeah, somebody sent me a clip of that, and they're in the works of sending in a hologram of Elvis on tour, but I don't know when that's going to take place, but I know that they're talking about it.
Oh, wow.
And
wow.
So for all the people that missed him, but a quick story. I remember 30 years ago, boy, J.D. Sumner and the Stamps Quartet and the Sweet Inspirations, the girls that backed Elvis,
Yes.
they were in Memphis. And I told them, I said, that you're going to be singing in front of the screen and Elvis's voice is going to come out with the live band. And one of the Sweet Inspirations said, "Oh, Lord, I don't know if I can do that," and it was very emotional for them. That was the first time they did something like that, but it was only 2 songs. But
right.
Yeah, but now the way they're going to do it is, I would tell you what. Well, I went to the show with Red West and his wife Pat, and who was one of Elvis's bodyguards, an actor. He was in Baba Black Sheep and Wild Wild West and a Roadhouse. And then Richard Davis, he was his bodyguard and movie stand-in and valet. And they're on both sides of me. And Elvis is doing Can't Help Falling in Love on the screen. You got the backup group there, and the closing vamp, the da-da-da, da-da-da, started playing.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, true story, Richard grabbed one arm of mine and Red got the other one and got up as if we were going to take Elvis off the stage. And then all of a sudden, it dawned on them, it really got, to where it was realistic.
Oh, did they bring you up on stage, or they just take you out around the
what it is we were in the audience, and we just got up. I mean, because when these two big guys are going to grab your arm, and I never took Elvis off stage too, but it was like that's what we were going to do. I mean, because they got so much in the moment.
Right, and that song played. That's the song. He's leaving the building now, so that's whenever did Elvis ever say that he didn't like someone saying Elvis has left the building and all that? Did he ever comment on that?
Oh, well, that guy is Al DeVorn, and he was one of Colonel Parker's right-hand guys, and he was with Elvis and the Colonel since the 50s. So, yeah, he did that for the longest time. And he said, the Super Souvenirs concession stands out in your outer lobbies. Pick up your souvenir of Elvis. Elvis has left the building, and it is true. As soon as Elvis left that stage, the guys took him and put him in the limo, and he was gone before the closing vamp ended. Sure,
because of the people that would be trying to find where he is or where he came out and that kind of thing. I just feel that Richard has a burning question that he has always wanted to ask someone that knew Elvis and that talked to him and all that. And I just have a feeling. I don't think it's something like, Don, did you ever have more girlfriends than you ever thought you would, of the people that just, hung out with Elvis, or what? What do you want to ask? What would you like to ask Don? This is going to be, okay, are you ready? Okay. He's
ready.
Coming up to the mic.
Well, I like how she's doing that while I'm trying to do other stuff and making sure everything's working. Yeah, Cindy doesn't really understand there's other stuff going on behind the scenes when there's production going on. She's always thinking, I'm the star.
Yeah. The
only thing that matters is me.
Well, Richard, by the way, I wanted to say I am happy to be on the Cindy Cochran. I am happy to be on the Cindy Cochran show, which is sponsored by Wootton Financial Group Incorporated.
Yes, Cindy doesn't even know I designed a new graphic for YouTube to make it more phone friendly for the viewer audience on YouTube and Facebook, so they know who's on the phone and who the show's sponsored by, and all that kind of stuff when Don watches it on the big screen.
Okay.
But question-wise, I think what's really interesting, knowing I don't know, when's the first show he was on? I want to say 7 years ago?
It had to be.
A while.
It's been, because you come on every once in a while, and every time you tell a story, it's almost like, I always think to myself, has he told this one before, or is this a new one? Because you have so many, and it's like to the point where it's like you're floating on this stream, and you're meeting all these interesting people as your life went forward. And so my question for you is,
so poetic.
What is the most interesting person? Who is the most interesting person you've met so far in your life?
Cindy Cochran.
Cindy Cochran. But no, yeah, I got to tell you, Richard, when I was a kid, my father knew celebrities, and so right off the bat, I went out. He was living in California, and he introduced me to Gene Autry. Now, Gene Autry was one of the most fascinating guys, and I was named after him, in fact, because my dad knew him well, and that's the middle name, Gene. But anyway, that same time, I went on the set and met Jack Webb on at Universal when he was doing Dragnet, and he took me down to meet. Well, actually, he saw Sharon Tate was doing a movie. I mean, she was he just thought she was gorgeous, and he knew somebody to get us on the set, and went down to Malibu, and I met her.
Oh, man.
And I was only, like 6 years old at the time, but when I was a kid, it was like my whole life was like a movie, and I was just like, I can't believe some of these things are happening to me. So it's just like, I think that's the way it is in someone's life. But besides Elvis, which is a given, I think Johnny Cash actually was one of the most fascinating, and Tony Curtis really became a good friend of mine. It's very hard to pinpoint any particular person.
Yeah, because they were all famous in their own right, kind of thing, right? But, I've never asked this of Richard. Richard, you've met a lot of different people and a lot of different celebrities, and they've come through the shows here. And who's the most interesting that you've ever met?
In a good way or a bad way?
In a bad way.
In a bad way? Okay, I got to think about this for a second. Because there's been a lot of interesting people. I think I forgot his name, but it was the gentleman. He came in and he was running for office, but then it became like a political soapbox. But it was just the tangents he went on, but it had nothing to do with what he was running for.
Right.
So it was just one of these things where he was like an activist almost. And where I'm sitting there going, like, I was even texting my co-host, like, does this have anything to do with like running for this position? Because I didn't know anything about the position.
Right.
It's one of those off the wall positions that people get voted in for that you don't understand why, like justice of the peace. It's like the people who run for that are pretty wild.
Yes.
Especially here in Texas. I don't know if Don knows anything about that. But anyone could be a justice of the peace, Don, if you didn't know that.
Wow.
And so there's not like you have to be a lawyer or whatever. It's like, no, anyone could be the justice of the peace.
I could be a justice
of
the peace?
Anyone is like, if you're a popular person, you could get on in. And I want to say it was one of those positions where, like, I was like, well, this guy's just going on a tangent about how the world sucks and, like, this sucks and this guy's horrible. This guy,
Wow.
And so that was probably one of the most interesting people because I was like, I can't imagine going home with that guy and just like talk about the
He
most.
was really a negative Nelly.
Yeah,
huh?
really negative. Probably the most interesting in a positive way.
Cindy Cochran.
Well, certainly Cindy. Certainly. It's never a dull moment when talking with Cindy, especially when my favorite thing that Cindy does is when she calls you, there's like an 80% chance she's already busy doing something else. So when she calls you, you're like, oh, Cindy, what's going on? And then she acts like you interrupted her. And she's like, oh, 1 second. I gotta do this. I gotta do this. I'm like, well, do you want to call me back? Or, why would you call me while you're in the middle of shopping at Kroger or in the middle of, and that's one of the most fascinating things where it's like, oh, sorry, I gotta finish this. I'm like, well, don't call me when you're about to finish something. Like,
he's always complaining about me calling Don, but it was funny. He never.
I can't see it. I can't
See, he can't. Don can't wait for me to call him because we talk and talk. And
well,
talk.
but it's just this funny little knickknacks people do in their life, and you're just kind of like, this is like the 7th time you've done this to me. Is this something that you routinely do? It's like, oh, I got to call Richard, but I'm like in the middle of using the restroom. But I'll call him in the middle of using the restroom, and like maybe the phone call will start by the time I end it.
No, I always flush before I call you. I don't know what you're talking about, Reeve. He's so no. I know you've had so many interesting people come through here, and it's been amazing because Conroe's really growing fast. So, but people, we don't have like billboards up or anything like that. It's all word of mouth kind of thing about what we're doing. But we're always on the internet, so people can go back and watch all the shows and see how we've grown and developed and matured.
Yeah, I think the Cindy Cochran Show, the real reason Cindy does it is so I relay contacts from people looking for her, and it has nothing to do with the show. It was just like, hey, I found Cindy has a show with you. She was my best friend in kindergarten, and I want to know how to get in touch with her. Can you help me? It has nothing to do with sponsoring the program, donating, or being a guest. It's just like I think that's happened like I want to say at least 10 times with you over the years.
Well, Sam always is glad that you're there whenever he calls to find out where I am. No, but that's what he can tell where I am from 2 to 3 is that he makes sure I made it. But this morning Don, I came in here. It was like 3 or something like that when I
No,
walked in.
206.
Oh, sorry. It was 2:06 when I came running in here, and I almost sent you a picture. I took a picture of the traffic I was in so I could prove that that's what's holding me up. Did you get that picture?
No, I got it.
Okay. So I wanted to let him know that.
Cindy would literally be 30 minutes late and still want to do the show.
Well, of course.
It's like, hey, you got 20 minutes. Okay, yeah, let's go.
Let's go. Let's do it. Let's make it. Because I knew you're sitting there waiting. You're like, okay, you got your big screen and it's going and all that. So, did you get to see the pictures I chose to show?
Yeah, yes, I did. And while you guys were chatting, I thought about the Reader's Digest version. I guess there was like a handful of people that I met, like Burt Reynolds, I met by accident, and he turned out to be one of the nicest guys that I ever met in Hollywood. And he knew I was from out of town, even though I was living there. And he said, "Well, go back to the South. Once you do what you want to do." He said, "This town will eat you up alive." I was doing Elvis shows at one point, and I got booked to do an opening for the Hollywood Squares. Actually, Whoopi Goldberg, I think she gave me $100 for it or something because it was her production. And so I did the warm-up, and here's all these people up there like Donny Osmond and Coolio and Mary Lou Henner. And then to my left was Raquel Welch. And so, of course, I had to go over, and I leaned over, and I said, "Honey, I know what movie was your first. It was mine, Roustabout." I had her laughing. So, yeah, that was a fun thing.
Oh, man.
And David Carradine and I became very good friends, and I told him that Elvis loved him in Kung Fu, and he said, "Are you kidding?" Well, he said something else, but I can't say it on the air. He says, "You mean I could have hung out with Elvis?" And he's catching himself. He didn't know. And then I guess the last little anecdote here I'll tell you is that I was very good friends with Stacey Burke, who was one of the girlfriends of Hugh Hefner, and I ran into her at one of Hefner's parties, and I'd only met him one time before on his birthday when he came to meet Jeannie Carmen, a friend of mine, and I was there. But anyway, I think he was a little jealous because Stacey put her arms around me and kissed me on the cheek, and I'm looking over the shoulder, and there's Hefner, and he's in his private area. And next thing you know, there's this big burly guy, and he comes over and he said, "Mr. Hefner would like you to join his party." And so I go over there and introduce myself, remind him who I am and stuff. And I think he just wanted to make sure there was nothing going on between Stacey and I, which there wasn't.
Man. You met all the bunnies then, right? All the bunnies?
Yeah. And in fact, I was escorting Tempest Storm, who was a very well-known burlesque queen from the 50s, into the party. So, but and then it was kind of funny to end this story is that I was talking to the security guard that was letting people backstage and stuff, and he had to go to the men's room, and so he asked me to take over, and he said, "Just make sure that they're wearing the bands." And Hef comes up to me and everything. He said, "Are you my new security guard?" and he said, "I'll be right back." And he said, I don't have one of those bands." I said, "You'll be all right."
I think you got this, Hef. Did y'all call him Hef? Hef?
Yeah.
That's so funny. And you're we are curious. Did this help your social life, hanging out with all these people and a lot of people that like a lot of the girls that Elvis says, I can't, I can only have one girlfriend at a time. So, Don, what do you think of this girl? Do you ever do that?
Well, I don't really get into the girls there, but I did. I've had some amazing things happen to me. It's just like some of the people that I met, like Jack Webb or whatever. I just met him for the only time, but other people I became friends with. I had Gene Autry on my radio show years later,
oh, you did.
And he wrote me a thank you letter for me putting the show together with him on it. I mean, he was a classy guy.
That's awesome. Well, you've known a lot of Elvis's girlfriends, and Mindy Miller, I know, is your favorite. And so, anyway, if Mindy's watching, hello, Mindy. I'm going to replay that interview we had with you, and my sister had called me. I told her I was going to be talking to Mindy, and she said, "Oh, I've got a question. I said, "What?" And she said, "Okay, just ask her. Was Elvis really a good kisser? Because I think he was. I could just tell by the way he kissed on the movies that he was a good kisser." And that was
I
her.
interviewed nearly all of his girlfriends, and they said yes. Now, yeah, I'm friends with Linda Thompson, who was with him for 5 years, and there's like I shared something online she hadn't seen, and then she wrote me and said, "Text me. You do have my telephone number." And I said, I sent it to her, or whatever. But yeah, and I'm friends with Ginger Alden, his last girlfriend. Quite a few of Sheila Ryan. I've met with Anne Margaret. I've met nearly everyone that's dated Elvis.
That's awesome. But I'm glad that there was a consensus there that it was true, that he was a good kisser.
Yeah, and each lady, I can see why he would be attracted, and there was a special relationship, and they were unique.
Mm-hmm.
And Elvis loved women, and he liked to be around them. And a lot of times it wasn't just because he went to bed with them, and sometimes if he did go to bed with them, they were just sleeping or they were studying the Bible. It didn't mean there was always a sexual relationship.
Ah, okay. That's what that's what Tom Jones said to me. I'm not name dropping. He said Elvis got weird. He started to read the Bible, and he wasn't as much fun as he was earlier. So we'd go over there, but he'd want to just study or talk about the Bible or things like that. It was so it was weird to Tom Jones. That's what he would do.
But Elvis was always like that. I think he just showed more of it, and he was a seeker. He was always, and there's another fellow you had on, Larry Geller, which is his hairdresser, and it's kind of like a spiritual advisor kind of situation. A lot of people say guru, and he said, "I'm not a guru."
I'm Geller. I'm
like
not guru.
I don't blame him.
Yeah. Well, the most interesting thing that Larry told me, I was just shocked. He said, "Okay, I got one thing I got to say, Cindy. I tell everybody that whenever they were closing the casket, they closed it and everybody started walking out. I went over and picked it up again because I wanted to be the last one to see Elvis." And I went, "Larry, really?" And he goes, yeah, and that helped me say goodbye to him. I thought that was so strange. It was real strange. It was like, does anybody else know this, or are you just saying this for the first time that's what you did? You waited till everybody left and then picked up the lid to the coffin. So anyway, I remember Larry so well. That was a good interview. We need to play that one too. I forgot about it. I'm so glad you remind me of that one, because I do need to pull that out of the lost videos and bring it up and play it. But we'll be playing those during this month, and we'll let everybody know. I only have like 3 minutes left. Is there anything that you'd like to say to his fans really quickly? You got 30 seconds. Go.
Okay. Well, I think Elvis would be very amazed at everybody about how he is still remembered. That's one of the things he always thought that he wouldn't be. And just to know that he was a kind, gentle-hearted person who loved his fans, loved his music, and would be very happy that people still love and appreciate him.
Well, that's perfect, and you have certainly helped that, where you go around and talk to people, and people just get so excited to be close to you, and you've never changed. You're always the same Don Wilson. So, Don,
that's me.
Thank you so much for being on with me and talking to me. I enjoy talking to you all the time. So, it's been months since I've talked to you, so don't let that happen again, okay?
Oh, definitely. Let's talk more often, Cindy.
Yes. Okay, sweetheart. Thank you so much for being here. And we'll say goodbye to you. And then I'm going to say goodbye to our first responders in just a minute. Okay. Okay. Thank
love
you.
you, my friend.
Love
Okay.
you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay. I do want to say thank you to Don so much. That was great. It's an honor to talk to him. He is just the most down-to-earth person in the whole world. But I do want to say thank you to our first responders. I never usually have enough time to say thank you. Thank you. We appreciate you. We love you. We respect you. You are always respected, and that how brave you guys are. All first responders. All first responders. Thank you so much. Okay, tomorrow we've got Chris Wootton, and he'll be here, and we'll talk really good things and make you help make more money for you. Yeah, that's what we want to do. Yeah. All right, we'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.